Musk tries to help Trump stop Harris wave. The world's richest man and once and perhaps future most powerful man agreed on almost everything. Tech giant Elon Musk opened up his X platform on Monday night, offering Donald Trump a fact-check-free pipeline of his lies, conspiracy theories and extremism as he tries to slow the rise of Democratic nominee Kamala Harris. The conversation marked another extraordinary chapter in a presidential campaign that has defied logic with its dizzying twists in recent weeks, including an assassination attempt on Trump and President Joe Biden's end of his re-election bid. The former president was floundering, struggling to deal with the high start of the new Democratic nominee. At times, during their wide-ranging conversation, Musk appeared to be using the power of his profile and platform to coach Trump on how to make a better case against Harris. She believes in the radical left, Trump once said of a Democratic opponent who has erased his advantage in the polls in just 3 weeks as a candidate. The former president, who tried to overturn the election he lost, baselessly claimed that Biden was illegally ousted to make way for Harris. She hasn't had an interview since this whole hoax started, and call it what you want, it was a coup. It was a coup by the President of the United States, Trump fumed. Musk agreed with Trump that Harris was a radical leftist and flattered his guest by suggesting that he was strong and his Democratic opponents were weak. Pointing to America's enemies, he said, "Do they fear the American president, or is he someone they don't respect and don't fear? Let's look at the assassination footage. Well, you know, President Trump is like, don't fuck with me." Musk has already endorsed Trump, leaving no doubt Monday night that he wants to see him win a second term. "You're the path to prosperity. And I think Kamala is the opposite," he told Trump. Musk, who has a huge business stake in securing favorable treatment from the incoming administration, delivered the Republican nominee an audience of at least 1.3 million concurrent listeners at the worst moment of his campaign so far. He predicted that at least 100 million people would consume the content in the coming days. Both Trump and Musk had a lot to gain. At times during the event, Trump, who has spent months criticizing Biden for his age, stuttering and sometimes struggling to complete sentences, appeared to stutter or slur his words. It was unclear whether an audio problem was to blame. Asked to explain, Stephen Chung, a spokesman for the former president's campaign, said, "It must be your hearing." The chummy conversation between the business mogul and the former president also showed what each man had to gain. Musk was able to sell the potential future president, known for his transactional leadership, on his own views on immigration, the economy, reducing government regulation and cutting taxes. Musk's companies, including SpaceX, a major player in the U.S. space program, and Tesla, an electric vehicle manufacturer, could be affected by changes in government policy. The entire conversation was filled with potential conflicts of interest. No ordinary American will have the same opportunity to hear the voice of a potential future president. At one point, Musk even offered to take a position in the U.S. government, perhaps as part of an efficiency commission to shrink the administrative state. Trump said he would love it if Musk participated, noting that the billionaire is a great cutter. Trump got a lot out of investing more than 2 hours of his time. Musk did not challenge him on any of his lies and distortions, for example, his prediction that 60 million undocumented immigrants would invade the United States if he lost in November. During the conversation, Musk downplayed the threat of global warming while defending his pioneering electric car empire. Trump, meanwhile, warned of the threat of nuclear warming, which he said was a greater danger than global warming. It wasn't clear whether he was referring to nuclear power, which Musk claimed was not as scary as people think. The encounter was a powerful example of how presidential politics has been transformed by social media and the disintegration of traditional journalism. Trump might not have been president without Twitter, whose emergence as a political force in 2016 coincided with the site's heyday. His skill at exploiting the new medium like no other politician made that year's presidential election a unique blend of man and moment. Unfettered expression, X has dismantled many of the safeguards against the spread of lies and conspiracy theories on the site. It is therefore an ideal place for the former president to escape the constraints of traditional media and spin his own web of alternative realities, which is hugely popular among his millions of supporters. Republicans have complained about what they say is complimentary media coverage of Harris' nascent race. But few candidates have had an easier ride than the Republican candidate on X on Monday night. In a nod to the international political questions raised by X's development, European Commissioner Thierry Breton wrote to Musk to warn him that he must prevent the amplification of harmful content, which consumers within the bloc could access. Chung warned on X that the EU should mind its own business rather than try to interfere in the US presidential election, in an exchange that seemed to bode ill for the already tense relations between the Trump-Musk team and Europe. After years of avoiding Twitter and X, Trump hails Musk. Trump launched into a myriad of lies and exaggerations Monday night, including about the number of migrants crossing the border, the extent of the now-cooled inflation crisis, his legal troubles, the administration's current energy policy, and his familiar claim that foreign countries are dumping their prisoners across the southern U.S. border. Many Trump voters listening or hearing highlights of the conversation in the coming days will no doubt agree with what the former president said in a way that underscores his political viability even after Harris changed the race. At times, Trump made a more coherent and focused argument for a second term than he has in recent days, when he seemed bemused by the shift in the race he thought he was poised to win against Biden. He and Musk accused the incumbent president and vice president of embracing spending policies that fueled inflation that has been painful for millions of Americans. But Trump's constant ramblings and conspiracy theories also showed why he is so despised by many voters and why there are questions about his appeal to suburban voters and women in swing states. Early on, it looked like the session would become a new metaphor for Trump's failings, as it was delayed by a technical glitch. Musk claimed a distributed denial-of-service attack was to blame, though it was not immediately possible to confirm that bad actors were responsible. "There's a lot of resistance to people listening to what President Trump is saying," Musk said. The Harris campaign was quick to respond, posting a Trump Truth Social post from last year that criticized Florida Governor Ron DeSantis for the rocky start to his primary campaign at a disrupted Twitter Spaces event with Musk. The event marked Trump's return to X, formerly known as Twitter, from which he was banned by the site's previous owners after the January 6, 2021, attack on the U.S. Capitol by his mob. His account was restored by Musk. Anyone who listened to the full 2-hour conversation would have learned more about Musk's evolving political views, and his growing willingness to use his power and wealth to express them, than anything new about Trump. But the former president was deeply grateful for a new friend in his time of political need. "You're an incredible man," Trump said before saying goodbye. "You're a great inspiration to people."